Welcome, everybody, to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I am here with Aiden. I am Matt. If you haven't checked out our channel before, we're all 49ers. Today, we're going to be talking about Jason Verrett, Richard Sherman, Kwaski Tart, Emmanuel Moseley, Ahkello Witherspoon, K'Waun Williams. There's a lot of free agents in the secondary, but we're going to be kind of going over the secondary today. Then tomorrow, we're going to have a video out about Carl Lawson. And then the next day, we're going to have a video about Jimmy G. And then we'll have two other videos out on Thursday and Friday. But if you haven't subscribed, make sure to do that. But we're all 49ers here. So let's get into it. Jason Verrett, let's start out with him because it just got reported that he is hitting free agency, which I think everyone was expecting. He had, I would say, his career year just because he was really good early on in his career, but this is the first time where he could kind of get paid. And we've seen him just have injury after injury in his career, but this past season, he was phenomenal. I think I saw like a poll out the other day, or maybe it was today, about who was better, 2019 Richard Sherman or 2020 Jason Verrett. And a lot of people thought Jason Verrett. Now, I don't think that. I think 2019 Sherm was because he was an absolute stud. But Jason Verrett last year was really good. You got to see the defense kind of mold a little bit when it was him and Ahkello back there because they could run so much man. And we saw Verrett ball out against Hopkins. We saw him take number ones. You saw the instincts. I believe it was it the Eagles game? No, I think it was the Rams game where he gets the pick in the end zone. We also saw him just make play after play. So Jason Verrett, Aiden, do you want them to bring him back?
I think in a perfect world where we have unlimited money, love to bring a guy like that back. Great story, even better player. I think it was reported. I think we're at 28 million in cap space as of this moment, which sounds nice until you realize that 20 to 25 of it is going to go to Trent Williams. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think that's priority number one, which looks like Verrett could be on the way out. Obviously, we need to see how the D Ford, Weston Richburg, even Jimmy Garoppolo situations pan out. He's a guy I'd like to bring back, but all those guys that you mentioned earlier, a lot of free agents in the defensive backfield for the Niners this offseason. And it might boil down to a 2-for-1 where Verrett might be the more talented guy, but you bring in two Bs and let the A walk. I know Grant Cohn is a proponent of that on the offensive line. So definitely an idea to keep in the back of your mind for the defensive backfield. But great player, would love to see him back.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just tough to determine, is this a guy that they're going to be able to pay? And you hope that they will. You hope that they can get him back on some sort of incentive-based deal. But it's a little questionable if that's going to be possible. I'll just go through a couple other guys. Richard Sherman, Kwaski Tart, those two guys, I believe, are gone. Aiden, I think everyone believes they're gone. And then you look at Emmanuel Moseley. He's a restricted free agent. He'll be back probably about $1 million or $2 million. Not anything really expensive. I think that we should expect him to be back. But then there's Ahkello Witherspoon, K'Waun Williams, and Verrett. I think those are the three guys that are really up in the air. I could see a scenario where all three of them leave. I could see a scenario where two of them stay. But out of those three guys, how would you rank them in who the 49ers want to bring back?
I think you rank them by how good they are. I think obviously Verrett is the best of the three, and then K'Waun, and then sadly Ahkello. I think Ahkello is almost 100% gone. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up with the Jets or the Cowboys or something like that. Again, we need bodies in the DB room, but like I was telling Matt before we started recording, I think Ahkello has played his last game for the Niners. But yeah, I would say I think it's going to boil down to, do you keep Moseley and K'Waun or do you keep Verrett? I think if you're going to pay Trent Williams, I don't think you can pay Verrett. Just given the money situation, D Ford might not be able to cut with that injury guarantee. So that'll be interesting, but I think obviously the Niners would like to bring back Verrett. I think he's a great player, and he makes our defense better, especially with DeMeco Ryans taking the reins as a first-time DC. You want as many good players back there. But obviously we need to see logistics and if Parag is able to make it work. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, so you're all for bringing Verrett back. It's more about like, is it possible?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the first day of the offseason, I want to say, Verrett came out and basically said like, hey, I would like to resign in San Francisco. They helped me out. They stuck with me throughout my injury history and stuff. So I think he's very interested in coming back to San Francisco. But how much can they really pay him? That's the big question. Maybe we see something where some of the other players have deals restructured. I remember, I think it was also like right at the beginning of the year, someone suggested that George Kittle might take not a significant pay cut, but a small pay cut. I think we might see some of the bigger guys do that. And that's where it gets really interesting because it's like, okay, who's going to be taking these pay cuts? How much is it? Are they able to keep guys like Jason Verrett? Because I think the 49ers want to keep him. I think it's a need. And we talked about it right before we came on. You want to build up the defensive line, but I don't think you just want rookie corners out there. Like that's not ideal. We've seen that with many teams. We saw that last season with the Minnesota Vikings, and they had a lot of injuries and stuff. But early on in the year, when they had their defense back, they were struggling because all their corners are getting picked on. And Jeff Gladney didn't even start at the beginning of the year, and he was their first round guy. So you don't want to have just guys sitting back there. I think that it's okay if you have Jason Verrett or an Ahkello Witherspoon on one side and then Emmanuel Moseley on the other side. And then at nickel, I don't really know what they're going to do at nickel. There's a lot of different ways. But the good thing about getting a nickel corner is usually they're pretty cheap. Now, if you want a top end cornerback, an outside corner, that costs you a pretty penny. And so say Jason, what do you think Jason Verrett is going to get? I'm thinking 10 to 12 million. Not obviously not all of it guaranteed, but I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 years of about that much money.
That's what I was about to ask you. He's 30 with the injury history that you just mentioned. Only 5'9". I think I personally would struggle to pay him $10 million a year. I would say the range that I'm comfortable in is 7 to 8. I think he did mention a little bit of a hometown discount, which we might have to take advantage of. But
yeah, no, and that's weird that a player would mention that too.
Yeah,
his agent's like, bro, do not say that.
Yeah, but he's saying that before the Jets swoop in and offer him 12 for 2 years because they have the money. They have like 90 million in cap space. Why would they not, especially when they're trying to be competitive? So 7 to 8, love to bring him back. Even if it's 2 years, 20 million, maybe 15 of it, 12 of it guaranteed. I'm still in. Obviously, we're not the ones making the decisions. We're kind of just looking at it from an outside perspective. But again, love to have him back for the right price. But that's really the sticker right there. What is the right price, and what are other teams going to offer? Because there's can't have enough outside corners who can cover number one guys, and Verrett showed that last year.
So do you think Verrett is clearly a priority over K'Wan Williams? I do.
I would say he's a better player, yes. But E-Man...
It depends on the price.
Depends on the price, and I'd rather have E-Man outside than in the nickel. If I was John Lynch and if I was Kyle Shanahan, I'd be bringing back E-Man and K'Wan. And letting Verrett walk, assuming that it's 10 million or something like that. Given that we just need bodies in there, like everyone was a free agent. I'm not starting Tim Harris if I don't have to. No disrespect to Tim Harris, but if Brian Allen is getting in before you, I don't want you on the field. Maybe he'll make me regret those words. Rooting for him.
Yeah, hopefully he does. That's what we want.
I am hoping to get proven wrong, but after number 48, Brian Allen came in against the Miami Dolphins, and one of my roommates is a Dolphins fan, and I had to sit there and watch that for the first quarter and a half. Was a little bit demoralizing. So I
think that was as ugly as the Jim Tom Sula, Chip Kelly 49ers things right there. That specific game.
It was bullying. It was bullying on a guy who had not played NFL football in like 3 years. I know Tim Harris has struggled with some injuries too. But just to make a roundabout point, I would bring back E-Man and K'Wan. But Obviously, if Verrett wants 78 million, that's a win. I'm bringing him back. But yeah, what do you think, Matt?
I like Ahkello a lot. I like K1 a lot. I like Verrett a lot. Those are guys I think are the ones you want to keep. However, I think K1, I'm a little bit opposite of you. You were saying that you think Ahkello's pretty much gone. I think K1 Williams is almost 100% going to the Jets. I don't know if you know this. He grew up like 10 minutes away from their stadium. He grew up in Jersey. And also, who's the guy that really has like vouched for him his whole career? Robert Saleh. That's why I think he's gone. And so I think it's almost like, all right, who do we bring back? We're gonna have E-Man back. Do we bring back Jason Verrett or Ahkello Witherspoon? Obviously, Verrett's gonna cost a little bit more. I mean, ideally, you bring them both back. That would be awesome. If you could bring them both back and have E-Man in the slot, I think that's sick. I think that's awesome. But I say you go Verrett first. If you have to pay a little bit more to Verrett and you can make it work, then you make it work. And that's how you roll back your secondary.